So that's already strike one in my book right there. They just, I don't know why the hell they need to have my information, but they have to. If they don't get it, you can't use their product. So passed a couple prompts. It's asking for a credit card. Okay. Well, I don't want to use a credit card. I generally use I buy the little iTunes gift card things, because I like to know how much I'm actually spending on, the apps and in-store purchases for the iPad. Nope, it's required. You have to have a credit card. Okay. So this is one thing that is just absolutely mind-boggling. You have to have a credit card. So for a device that claims that you can't have material that's 18 plus or all this other crap like that, and it's very limited because the children are using, you have to have a credit card. You tell me what child has a credit card. You have to be 18 to actually own a credit card. And if you're under 18, you have to have a parent signature saying that you're responsible enough to own a credit card. Well, if you're responsible enough to own a credit card, then you're probably responsible enough to actually, be able to see adult material. So having the credit card in there is, in my opinion, a huge scam. You always read about these stories. There's actually one not too long ago about an 8-year-old child racking up $1,800 worth of Smurfs Village content, and a lot of people are saying, well, that's just that's the mother's fault for allowing the child to actually use the app and buy it on her credit card. Well, a lot of people didn't know that the credit card is actually required, and when you actually buy stuff from the app store, as long as you have the password, they don't tell you how much you're spending. And this Apple does this on purpose, and this is not on accident. This is all by design. So when you purchase something, you don't know until like 3 or 4 days later when you get the email for the receipt and it says you purchased this. So you can sit there and hit buy now, buy coins, or I don't even know, buy experience points, whatever's in the game. You can sit there and keep clicking the button, and you really only have to put the password in once, because once you put it in, it's in there, and as long as you're within, I don't know what the time period is, like within a minute, you don't have to retype in the password every single time. So you can just keep hitting that button, and it just keeps ringing out, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And Apple wants this. This is what Apple strives on. The fact that we are all stupid and we don't know what to do. That's why they make their devices the way they do. They make it so it's as easy to use as possible, and it costs us as much money as possible. This is a ridiculous format, but they're making so much money on this, and it just drives me nuts. So even still, I still use the iTunes cards, but it's actually pretty hard to actually find out how much money you actually have and how much money you actually spent. You actually have to go into the App Store, go through at least 2 or 3 screens just to get to find out how much you have left in your account. And even still, when you buy it, it should have something where when you buy an app, it should say you have X amount of dollars left, and this is going to cost you X amount of dollars, and you're going to have this much left over after the purchase. They don't do that, and they do that by design. So that's kind of strike 2 in my opinion. Strike 3, I already covered the topic, is pretty much the limit on the apps, the creativity of the apps, and being able to develop for the iPad. The iPad or the iPhone or the iPod could be so much more if they just cut the strings on these developers and let them do what they want to do. Nothing stomps on creativity like limitations, and you're hitting that all over the place in the Apple development program. And it's just a shame too, because I love the iPad. Like I said, I use it every day, but unfortunately, I don't think I could ever purchase another Apple product. Probably, I'll probably stick with the iPad line just because it is what it is until maybe some Android tablets come out or something. But a Macintosh is not in my future. An iPod, especially an iPhone, definitely not in my future. Speaking of the iPhone, that was a crazy thing this past summer, where the antenna issue, and this just goes to show how how Steve Jobs works and his ego. So there was this huge thing with the iPhone 4 released. Everyone bought it. It was the fastest selling phone or whatever. Everyone got an iPhone. It was 8-hour lines just to get an iPhone on day 1. And I don't know how many they sold, but they probably sold a bazillion, right? So out of that bazillion, like 25% of them don't even work. So here's a product. It's called the iPhone, okay? And then with the iPhone, the phone part doesn't work. It's like, how can you release a product where the name of the product is not even what it is? It's essentially just an iPod now. So you can't make calls because you don't have an antenna. So that's just one thing. So then, how does Apple fix this problem? They don't admit there is a problem. They say, "Oh, we're going to be nice, and we're going to give everyone that bought their iPhone in between this period a little rubber, essentially a little rubber case that goes around your phone to fix the problem that doesn't exist." And this is just how Apple works. They think they're absolutely perfect, and it's just ridiculous. And I don't know how far the consumer has to bend over and just take it up the ass until they say enough is enough. You know, if this was Microsoft, they would get reamed. Everyone would be all over them. There would be lawsuits. There'd be this. There'd be that. And I don't know why people think Apple is a different company. They're both tech companies. You know, actually, Microsoft even owns a little bit of Apple. Most people don't know that. They actually saved Apple. A lot of people say, "Oh, Steve Jobs saved Apple when he came back as a CEO and things like that." It's like, nah, it was other companies that bought Apple stock that actually saved them and floated them. You can't run a company without capital. And the fact that Steve does this shit, I'm surprised it's not being run into the ground. I don't know why people have these blinders on, and all they see is just they just see that nice shiny apple. They just want it. It's like, you know, it goes back to like the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve getting the apple from the serpent. It's hilarious, and I don't know how they get away with this shit. You know, Microsoft. So get this: in Europe, there was a class action lawsuit against Microsoft for packaging Internet Explorer with Windows. So now, if you live in Europe and you get a new operating system from Microsoft, you get an operating system without a browser. So when you set it up, it asks you what browser do you want to use, and you get to download it, your whatever browser you want. So let's say if you set up your computer, you don't have an internet connection. You can't set up your browser. It's just stupid. And you know, Microsoft gets all this shit, but when you buy an Apple Macintosh, when you buy like an iMac or Mac Mini or any of those things, they come with the prepackaged software, and it's actually pretty freaking hard to get your own software on there. But people, they don't care. They just ignore it and things like that. And it's just, I don't know why Apple does this shit. You know, like I said, it's their creative marketing, and they have one of those things where they have something that everybody wants, but people don't understand it, so therefore they can sell 1 million of it without actually thinking about the customer. And it's just one of those things where Apple, I don't know. I hope they get sued up the ass so many times that, you know, they actually start doing things that everyone else has to do. I just don't get how other companies like Microsoft and Dell and HP and all these companies, you know, Google's getting sued like crazy, Motorola's getting sued like crazy, Microsoft's getting sued like crazy. But Apple, yeah, they get sued, fine, but they still don't change their ways. And until there's actual laws that prevent them from doing these things, that they're forced by a judge, it's going to continue. And they're going to continue selling these products, and people are going to be buying them. And eventually it's going to be 1984. So the commercial that they strived not to be, the Big Brother, they are quickly turning into Big Brother, and it's only taken about 15 to 20 years to actually fulfill this prophecy, I guess, their self-prophecy. But I don't know. I guess that's it, and I'd like to see any comments or rebuttals. I welcome the Apple fanboys. Please take up some of these issues and prove me wrong, because some of these things, they're just not right. All right, everyone. I'm signing off.